So, today we're going to talk about the 180-degree rule. Anyway, the 180-degree rule. And you've probably seen this, what's the word I'm looking for? You've probably seen this, show up in various forms online in your how-tos and whatnot. But I'm going to show you how it's used in practice. Sorry, I'm looking for a decent pen here. Nah. Alright, let's just go with my usual guy. That'll work. We'll make it bigger so it's a little easier to see. Alright, check it out. So the idea of the 180-degree rule is there is let's say this is character A and character B. Or you could say this is, well, let's just go simple for now. Character A and character B, and this is like a top-down shot. So let's say here's the room or whatever, and here's character A and here's character B. And on the other side of that is the cameras, right? So like if this was a TV show, this is how it would be. Character A, character B, and the cameras on the fourth wall. The 180-degree rule is there is an imaginary line on either side of these characters. It could be the other side, it could be like this, whatever. The whole point is when you're doing your various shots, and you'll see it in movies, you'll see it in comics, even in like stage plays and stuff, you'll see this idea is you never break these lines. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in practice. The idea here is you can take this camera anywhere in this regard, but you can't, whoops, sorry, but you can't go past the line, right? So, and that even means in like the z-axis. The camera could be like, if this is, on the floor, the camera could be like up above and pointing like that, or it could be below and pointing like that, but it can't go past this like imaginary border. And the idea there is, character A and character B always on the and the way it shows up in practice, I'm going to show you, is this character is going to be on the left and this character is going to be on the right. More often than not, that's how it works. And you also want to think about it like this. If it's a group of characters and another group of characters, like if it was Avengers versus X-Men, um, it's like Avengers versus X-Men, and you had like a bunch of Avengers over here and a bunch of X-Men over here. Every time you showed these characters interacting, you always want to make sure that the Avengers are on the left and the X-Men are on the right. So the idea there is any character A and character B could also be group A and group B. And I run into this issue a lot in my comic A Thousand Hells because there's moments where, because it's about a family trying to survive, so the idea is like these people are trying to kill the family, so there's moments where I'll have the characters like mom, dad, and child against like two guards or whatever, and the guards are always on the left or right depending on the line. And this goes into a little more of the like the nuts and bolts, like visual, not visual, like symbolic kind of storytelling of comics. Is you usually, and you'll see it again, you'll see it in movies, you'll see it in you'll see it in stage plays, you'll see it in movies, TV shows, and comics. And this is how, in storyboarding, things like that. And the idea is your good person is, and I think it's a little different depending on where in the world you are. Like if you're reading, but here in America we read left to right. So in comics it's this left to right Z form. The panels, whatever. The idea there, left to right. We're used to here in the States going left to right, which means your good guys are almost always going to be pointed to the left, and your bad guys almost always pointed to the right. It's sort of a symbolic thing. We've just kind of symbolically sort of associate going this way with a positive and going this way with a negative. And it's not 100% always like that in comics, but you generally want to keep it that way. So your bad guys are generally going right to left because it goes the idea there, and that's kind of how subtext works in comics. Subtext works differently in comics than it does in other mediums because comics isn't necessarily a dialogue driven medium the way stage plays or movies or something like that is. So anyway, getting away from uh, getting away from the subtext kind of digression, I'm going to show you what that looks like in practice, what this 180-degree rule looks like in practice. So here's a scene where, and I just laid this out, and I'm also planning on making a video that goes into how to make layouts and what the thought process is, because I've noticed in the how-to YouTube space of comics, and I don't necessarily want to get into that so much, but like I don't know. I don't have like the 5 easy tips or whatever, but like the idea when you go on YouTube and you search this sort of how to kind of vibe in comics, you get a lot of pinup work. You get a lot of figure drawing and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get into that space as much because man, there are people out there that are way better at than me who've been doing it way less time than me. So, you can learn from them. But what I'll show you, but what you don't see very much of is the kind of nuts and bolts thinking that goes into making comics. And comics is a lot more than being able to draw pretty pictures. So let's go, not through the whole scene because I don't want to like spoil the whole thing, but let's just start at, let's say this moment here. This is a good example, right? So your good guy on the left, your bad guy on the right. That's my guy. This is my my main character, blanking. Caleb. This is my main character, Caleb. Let me make a new panel so I don't screw up my, what do you call it? My layouts. Been working on these for a few days. So, this is my good guy. His name is Caleb. This is my bad guy. Random guard. I don't have a name for him. Doesn't matter. The idea, Caleb is on the left, guard is on the right. Now here is where it's really subtle. So, remember what we talked about, the 180-degree rule. A and B, left and right, whatever. No matter where your panel or where your camera is, as long as it's not on the other side, you should be fine. All right, anyway. I guess I can leave that up. Doesn't matter. All right, so here we go. Here's our good guy, Caleb. He turns and he sees this bad guy kind of coming up, but he's like, at this point he's had, he just beat up this other guy right here, and he turns, so you can, in a bigger context, his face will be big enough to where you could see his eyes, angrily looking back. Anyway, so he sees bad guy, and now here is very subtle, right here. You want to see this guy? This is my good guy. This is my bad guy. And they are just ever so slightly on the left and right. Again, left and right. So the idea there, and here's my other thing. My bad guy is moving to the right. So we've established, this is a good way to establish, like this sort of establishes the ground plane, I guess, this panel. It's not the best establishing panel because, again, this is the middle of the scene and there's a lot more beforehand. But this, I'm showing you how it works in practice. So, next panel, he swings his sword, whatever, Caleb blocks it. Our good guy on the left, bad guy on the right. Good guy moving to the left, taking him out. Again, good guy on the left, bad guy on the right. Now, it doesn't matter where this camera is, whether it's an up shot or a down shot or a over the shoulder kind of deal or whatever, as long as your one guy is on the left and your other guy is on the right, you'll usually not break this rule. But I'm going to show you eventually you do break the rule, and the reason to break the rule is storytelling. So again, we got my good guy on the left, bad guy on the right. Now here's the point where here's another establishing bit right here. So after Caleb has taken out this bad guy, we go to this page and he's about to knock him out. It's still ever so slightly on the left and on the right. Okay? And even in the panel layout, Caleb is on the left of this panel, and Cedar is his name. He's on the right. He's sort of kind of newly coming into the scene. He's sort of been sitting back watching the fight, but now he's in the scene because they're about to have a fight. So, and here's a good example of group on the left, group on the right kind of thing. And these guys, they're all beat up on the ground, so it really doesn't matter about that. But so now I've established kind of my ground, this is establishing shot, and it shows you the ground layout of my characters. And these guys are going to disappear because they're just knocked out baddies, so it really doesn't matter there. But now we have my good guy Caleb and my bad guy Cedar. Caleb on the left, Cedar on the right. And Caleb is pointing towards Cedar, and Cedar is pointing towards Caleb, and it's left and right. Okay. Now, they're going to have their fight, and again, staying on the left and right. Again, left and right. He stays on the left and stays on the right. And that is, when people describe this rule and they'll say, don't go past the line, it sounds a lot more complicated. But if you take like two toys, that's terrible. But if you take like two toys and you stand them up and you hold your phone around them and you make sure that you never go past that line, you'll notice no matter how you point at them, depending, where you hold it, and I'll, if I can make it happen, I'll show you on an actual, with two actual figures that I have that I use for drawing and stuff. But like, you'll see no matter what happens, these characters always remain consistently on the left and right of the frame. And the reason you don't want to break that is because you'll see it in like bad movies and stuff sometimes, like especially like in storyboards and stuff like that. If this was a storyboard, so all the panels or all the frames are like the same size, and you have character A talking, and he's like looking this way on this side of the frame, and in storyboarding, everything's done by the thirds, whatever. Like framing is like this, and then character B is also right there, and then character B, and then it goes back to character A. And if it's always like this, one, it keeps your eye like it'll, because they'll say in storyboards there's like a rule of like keeping the frame like consistent. So like where your eye is, your eye shouldn't jump back and forth. But in conversations, if you were having a conversation, or if you're watching a conversation happen, if you were like, if character A and character B are standing there having a conversation and you are watching, you're going to keep jumping back and forth between who's talking and who's not talking. So you'll watch it happen in movies and TV shows. Every time there's like an over-the-shoulder kind of conversation or whatever, it bounces back and forth between left and right. And it's not always, what do you call it? It's not always static over the shoulder, like one-in-one shots or whatever. You ever, like you'll notice if you watch movies where like they do like a centered frame after a centered frame. the characters always feel sort of disconnected from each other if they're talking like that. And you'll see, even if it's like a single shot, they'll almost always kind of put the character somewhat to the left of the frame if they're talking back and forth. Even if it's like, oh, like an askew shot where like the character's standing like this, and then like another shot is like maybe a close up. If this character's on the left, then guarantee the next shot this character's gonna be sort of on the right of the frame. So that's the 180-degree rule in uh, a nutshell, I guess. But here is when you want to break it, because you want to break it when the power shift of the scene alters, or maybe there's like a change in someone's personality, or like a like if you read I know I'm kind of rambling. If you read something like Robert McKee's story, he'll talk about how scenes are a series of attacks and blocks and parries. Like a scene is like a sword fight. A character attacks, and either they land the blow or the other character deflects the blow. It's like, I don't know, like he uses the idea there is character A wants to get something out of character B, and the whole point of the scene is for character B to not give character A what they want, or vice versa. And you can use the 180-degree rule. You can use it to kind of establish that. So like another way to establish power, and there's a great scene in one of the Harry Potter movies where these two characters are having an argument, and they're having an argument on the stairs, and you'll notice that when one character gets the upper hand, they always go up a step, and they're a little higher in the frame than the next character. I think it was McGonagall and that crazy lady. What was her name? Umbridge? Yeah, Dolores Umbridge. So like, there's a scene between her and McGonagall, and you'll notice when the scene they're arguing back and forth, and every time McGonagall gets the upper hand in the scene, she goes up a step, and every time Umbridge gets the upper hand, so they're by the end of the scene, Umbridge has all the power, and so she is way above McGonagall on the steps. Anyway, but that's a little deeper than the 180-degree rule. Now I'm going to show you when you can break it and why to break it. Again, you want to show that power dynamic is shifted, or something has happened. So like if a character hears something that just like alters their whole paradigm, or like throws them for a loop or something, that's when you can break the scene, or something like that. Or if you actually show a character crossing the threshold for a reason. And here is where I broke it in this fight scene. So again, Caleb is knocked down by Cedar, who is just in every way dominating this fight. So this is Cedar, and he's attacking towards he's attacking towards the right. He's headed right. He's my bad guy. He's going right, and Caleb's going left. But Caleb's facing left. He's getting pushed back to the right, which is a subtle thing that we here in America have kind of come to symbolize as going the right way versus going the wrong way. So anyway, again, we got all the energy's going up in this shot, but Cedar is still to the left of Caleb, or to the right of Caleb. So good guys on the right, bad guys on the left. Again, he's knocked down, so like this is a sort of an upshot where my good guy is where my good guy is on his knees and looking up, but he's still to the left of the frame. A down shot where my good guy is on his knees, and it's like an over the shoulder. It's sort of the reverse of, this shot is sort of these two shots are sort of the reverse of each other. And that's just sort of to establish the space between the characters. But again, we got left and right, left and right. That's how you stay on, that's how you stay in your 180-degree rule. But here's where you break it. Caleb rises up, swings at him, swings his seat. Good guy rises up, swings at bad guy. Okay, I'm making sure I'm framed up right. So good guy rises up, swings at bad guy. Swings, he's going towards the left. Again, bad guy on the right. Caleb swings. Good guy catches his sword like it's nothing because my good guy has his sword bound into its sheath, so it's basically just a club. This is, since it's a single shot, it's not as important, but you do have, I guess I could make him a little more right of the panel, but since he's the only one in the panel, it doesn't really matter. But again, his energy is still going left or right to left because of this right here. This is putting your head this, or your vision this way. And again, here's my good guy, and his energy's going this way. And he's very left of the frame. And then, so in this scene, he caught his sword, and now Caleb can't pull it out of his grip. He rips it from his hand. He rips the sword out of Caleb's hand. My good guy, or my bad guy, rips the sword out of my good guy's hand. And now he's got his sword, and he hits him, knocking him to the right. And that's when you can break the rule. Or that's where I can break the rule. Or in this scene, it's justified to break the rule. It's because now he has literally pulled his sword out of his hand and hit him with it. And I'm not going to stay left and right very often, but that's a good point of how you can how and why, or a good example of when or how you could break that rule if you needed to or wanted to. I guess I didn't have to do it, but it felt right because he grabbed it with this arm. So I figured if he was in the most insulting way to hit him would be a backhand. So, like that. So I know this was kind of rambly and not like a polished sort of tutorial, but I've noticed in these sort of how to kind of space on YouTube, they'll tell you things but not really explain too much about it. They'll say, never go past this line, but they don't actually show you what that looks like in practice. And what that looks like in practice is left and right. More often than not, it just means left and right. If you make sure you're whoever you're A and whoever you're B, as long as they don't go past, as long as they're always on the left and right of each other in the frame, more often than not, you will not break that rule. And the reason I told you the reason we don't break that rule is so we don't confuse. Look at it, watch TV. Anytime you have characters having a conversation, you'll see that more often than not, they bounce from left to right on the frame. Unless you're watching like a Wes Anderson movie where they for specific purposes just center everyone in the frame. And it always feels weird and disjointed when you have a character centered in the frame, not showing, anyone else in the frame. So if these frames were more often than not what you'll get in a conversation shot, in a conversation scene like on TV, is you'll get the over the shoulder kind of thing. Character A and character B are talking, over the shoulder. Shot, reverse shot is what's this called. And then you'll get, the other one, back and forth. In comics, you see this a lot, but comics will do it comics will do a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Creatively, like an over the shoulder shot, in movies, an over-the-shoulder shot is almost always just this sort of head kind of thing. But you'll see in comics, because people need to talk, you'll get your character saying whatever, word balloon, word balloon, word balloon. And because you don't want just to constantly have nothing but singles, you'll get like just this sort of sliver of the other character, maybe a bit of their hair or something just to show you that they're there. And that's just a good way to make sure that your characters are, you know, connected in the scene. Because if you do too many singles, you'll start to forget that the character's in the same scene. Um, it's okay to do singles, you just got to make sure that you pull out and do like big establishing shots as well. But that's another video. This was all about the 180-degree rule. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful, and you know, you get something out of it. All the best. Oh, wait. Let's try that again. If you like what you see, or if you want to follow me and see more of my work, you can check out my webcomic, A Thousand Hells. I have that on, what is it? I have that on Webtoon. I have that on Tapas. It's on Global Comics, but I want to update it to on Global Comics because it's not the most updated one. Anyway, or you can follow me on Instagram at Hobbs Makes Comics. Oh no, where's it at? There it is. Hobbs Makes Comics. Uh, Thanks for following me. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that I'm supposed to say. All right, take care. Bye.